Hello and welcome. Got my headphones in here. Oh, excited to be here for you for our live Q&A. There was some great questions. I've been checking the group. Thanks for posting. I'm in there pretty much every day. So thanks so much for posting your feedback and your comments. I really take those to heart, and it's really wonderful to read them. And we've got some great questions. I got a really lovely note in the group from someone that said, I've been trying to work out the cobwebs, which is really a wonderful way to say it, and this has really been helping. So whatever you're working on, subtle body skills help you to take it to the next level. Okay, so let's talk about the questions that you have. Scrolling through. Don't forget to tune in. Okay, what do you want to know? The question was, tried to give you some question prompts. What do you want to know about where and how emotion gets stuck in the body? So Erica Goodhouse asked a great question. I want to know if particular types of emotions go to certain area of the body or if all emotions can get stuck anywhere. Great question, Erica. This is one of the questions. So what I can say is, in my experience, there are what I would call general themes. So, I know people like Louise Hay was one of the big pioneers in the 70s. She wrote a book, You Can Heal Your Life. And she has like all these charts in her book that are like, oh, my little hair's doing a funny thing there. All these charts in her book that are like, if you have this vertebrae, then it means this, and this is your affirmation. And I think those things are okay. For in working with people for the past 10 plus years and doing this kind of subtle body work, I found that they're general themes. So in general, stuff coming up and sensations around the heart and the chest tend to be what I would label the heart protector. So those things are usually about like defense of past hurts. Obviously Chinese medicine also, as an ancient medicine, has the different emotions associated with different things. And you can look that up. They basically are, I'm making myself a little chart here. Liver, gallbladder type of health issues tend to be frustration, anger. Fire type issues tend to be like a little overexcitement or difficulty to stay grounded. So the heart and the pericardium are sort of fire issues. Earth element or digestion issues tend to be emotions around worry and nourishment and self-deserving. Fire metal tends to be like lung, large intestine, grief, holding, sadness. So issues that are coming in with those organs. And the water organs of the kidneys tend to be like fear and fright, but also sneaky, like a lot of stuff happens in the low back in terms of emotions where it's about fear, but sometimes people don't identify with fear right away. I remember when I was in Chinese medicine school, I did an intake with a relative who I knew had some fear issues, or I knew had some like a kidney water constitution. And I said, do you ever fear things, or do you ever like hesitate to do things because you're worried about a worst case scenario? P.S. That's fear. A lot of people think like, oh, well, no, that's just me being overcautious. That's not fear. That's actually fear. So sometimes fear can look like, fright, I'm super afraid. But sometimes fear also looks like, oh, I'm just extra hesitant. Or, oh, I like to make sure everything is in order before I take a chance. That is also fear. So it could be outright fear or sneaky fear. So, there's lots of things that could be in the body. Some other big ones that show up, things around parents and family lineages, I found. Hey, Christine, tend to come in around the hips and moving forward with the lower legs and things like that. Low back is often like feeling the support of life up underneath you. Headaches tend to be a lot of anger, frustration, and a lot of pressure on yourself in a lot of ways. And all those being said, I would also say that it is true that any emotion could get stuck anywhere. So things tend to have a definitive, general pattern because vibration and energy levels is the way that the universe kind of works. So a different resonance with a part of the body means that that emotion will likely resonate with that part of the body as well. And stuff can show up anywhere. I had a teacher who said anything, one of my muscle testing teachers, anything can cause anything. So that's sort of the answer, is that yes, and emotions do tend to show up in different places. Chinese medicine has one approach. I've found just experientially that things tend to fall a different way. And it can be also stuck anywhere in the body. Great question. Another question from Crystal. I had taught myself to use a pendulum to release, what are we trying to release them? I still feel like, okay, so we're talking about stuck emotions. I had taught myself to use a pendulum to release stuck emotions, and I still feel like I have some stuck emotion. My question is, how do you know you have released the emotion or not? Great question. I'm familiar with using a pendulum. I'm not particularly clear on the technique that you are using with a pendulum to release emotions. So I'm not familiar with that, so I can't really judge its effectiveness, but you can judge its effectiveness by the feeling in your body. So just in a logical way from your question, if you're still feeling like you have stuck emotion, likely the emotion is still stuck there. And I know that sounds simple, but it's not always simple. The way that we always judge, whether it's in releasing emotions or in healing, in concrete things or in woo-woo things, we are always judging by results. And so what that means is usually that we need a feedback loop from the outer world to the inner world. The whole reason why we are trying to release something, usually inwardly, is because it's messing up our life externally. So this is why, as part of our coaching programs and our trainings and the Body Wisdom Academy and the Subtle Body Breakthrough Coaching, all of those things, we're always tracking your markers, because we look to our outer world to somewhat reflect to us what our inner world is happening. So the short answer to your question is, if you feel like you have a stuck emotion, usually ideally it's happened from, I saw something that's not working in my outer life. It was something about relationship. It was something about, I just talked with someone today who was like, I've been trying, I know I want to help people in this world. I know I'm a healer. I've done some facilitator trainings, but I just can't get there. Every time I look at programs, it just brings up so much emotion that I just get so frustrated and I quit. So clearly there's some trapped emotions, there's some subtle body things going there. So whatever technique you're using, if you do that technique and you don't see a change in the outer life, so it's hard for me, get very specific. The first thing you have to do is get specific. It is very hard. Every time I sit down to write an application to grad school, I get distracted or I feel angry and frustrated. Sometimes I cry because I feel so frustrated, and then I stop. Okay, so that's a external, get really specific thing. Then I do the inner work. I do the subtle body work, and then I judge the next time I try to sit down, do I have a different experience? If you don't, whatever technique you used isn't really that effective for that. So this is what I hear all the time when people are like, well, I know I have this extra thing, so I've been doing therapy, or I did some life coaching, or I worked with a manifesting coach, and that's all great, and it probably felt good and positive, but did it actually produce the results that you were looking for? If not, that emotion or subtle body block is still there. So just like anything else, we are judging by results, and that's if we still have trapped emotion. On the more esoteric level, if you know you're really having a trapped emotion, you can sort of use the body as a pendulum itself, and asking the body, like, body, is there still emotion trapped here? And see if you get more of like a yes expansive feeling or a no contractive feeling. The problem with that technique for really learning if there's still trapped emotion is the fact that you have a trapped emotion is going to cloud your judgment sometimes. This is why healing is really a mentorship process. In my healing work and getting it out to people, I could have created, here's an online course for a couple $1,000, just do it and watch some videos. But I know that people wouldn't actually do it, for one, and because people fall off easily when we don't have accountability, and it's not effective. You are a human being, not just a mind taking in information. So it's part of the alignment between a heart and a head and a pelvis grounding, and having an outside reflection and connection that is the catalyst to bring all of the things you know together. And this is also the danger that so many of us in the sort of self-help junkie realm get into, is that we are so thirsty for knowledge that we get stuck in the trap of, I can do it by myself. And so we learn a lot of things, but we notice when we actually go to sit down to do the thing that we're not getting past the blocks. So, hope that answers your question. Next question. These were great. So Julie asked a very wide question, talking about trapped emotions, how to release them, especially what isn't ours. This is a huge question and topic, Julie, around stuck emotions, and that's essentially what we're doing and what we train people to do with this subtle body work. So we have 2 levels of programs. We have the subtle body breakthrough coaching, where you work with a subtle body wisdom academy coach and myself in some one-on-one sessions and a small group with me. And then for people who are really ready to go deep and know the step-by-step know-how, we have the Body Wisdom Academy training, which is 12 weeks. I have 3 hours of one-on-one office hours that you can do with me per week. There's an in-person training. It's for people who are really full in. So that's what we do, and it's a really big topic. I can't teach you in 12 weeks in this 2 minutes, but I'll give you the basic overview. Releasing emotions, it's 2 questions. Releasing emotions and then releasing stuff that's not ours. So to release trapped emotions, you have to have a subtle body appropriate process, because emotions, there's always an emotion, and then there's the source of the emotion. Emotions themselves, in a subtle body technical way, are like the wind that comes through the trees. They're just something that is naturally generated by the movement of air, pressure, and other things. That's the root. So we want to be careful to not believe that emotions are the source of things. Emotions are just the wind that is generated by something else, by a deeper cause. So what we're really looking to release is not the emotions, but actually the cause of the emotions, which is the kink in the subtle body. In Sanskrit, we talk about, it's sort of what's in your chitta, and the chitta, which is sort of like your karmic bag of all the impressions that you have, sometimes those will get stirred up, and that creates these whirlpools of emotions. And we see this, that it's not really the emotion, it's actually the source within the person. Because 2 people can experience the same event and have different emotions come from it. So if 2 people go through the same experience and they can have different emotions that come from it, that means that there must be something different at the source. Otherwise, the emotions would be the same. So to release them, we have to use a subtle body process to move past the emotions. We let the emotions and the wind guide us to say, whoa, there must be a fan around here, something blowing up all this wind. And we go through a process, which we train people in what we call the basic procedure. And the basis is NTB. N, we notice it. Oh, seems like there's a little wind here. I wonder where the sensation is in my body. T, we turn towards it. This seems simple, but it's huge. Most of us are used to pushing away and avoiding that sensation. Whenever we feel that emotion or that wind come up, we turn the other way and try to get rid of it as quickly as possible. And although that's a natural reaction, it actually causes the emotion to stay stuck. So T, we got to turn towards it, and we work on how to do this with people. And then B, bring it closer. This is where we really have to use subtle body, energy appropriate techniques like the ones that you're learning through this 30 Days to a More Grounded You audio course that you're doing as a part of this challenge. So, and if you're not doing the challenge and you're watching this video, that's a possibility. These are step-by-step things to really get down to the subtle body level, to bring those closer in a way that actually releases things from your system. Now, you'll notice that in that whole explanation of really releasing emotions, there was nothing that said, well, you have to understand it intellectually, and you have to talk about it, and you have to process it. That's the realm of talk therapy. And it is helpful for the mind to understand these things, but you'll notice that the mind does not release the emotions. It helps justify the emotions, it helps make a rational explanation for where they come from, but it doesn't actually touch the source. So that's the difference. There's some, it's a little bit too big of a topic in this particular video of how to release energy that's not yours. So we'll have to tackle that one on another video, but that was a great question, Julie. Great. Andrea posted a really great takeaway. My biggest takeaway was the more that I use the phrases, the more that I feel myself opening up. This is really true. So when we use energetically appropriate and subtle body phrases, they are naturally aligned with how the subtle body works. So just by using your focused awareness, it will start to peel away the layers of the onion. Another way to say it is, I explained to someone today, like subtle body healing is like every time you do it, you take 2 rocks out of the bucket of the body and you toss them back into the ocean. So you naturally feel lighter, and those rocks don't come back. There's still some more rocks down there in the bucket. You got to keep working on it. It's an ongoing process. But when you really feel things release in a subtle body way, that's how it works, and they don't come back. So it's good to lighten our load and have those rocks come out. Sending you so much love. Thank you for being here. Mwah!